Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a fitness instructor and content creator sharing my love of athleisure wear, body-inclusive fitness, and New York City. And this is Jess McKay Live, the podcast where I answer your questions about life, Lululemon, and love. Self-love. Let's get into it. Welcome back to episode 9 of Jess McKay Live. And this is Ryan.
Hello.
How's it going, Ryan?
I'm good. I'm here. I have the outline of this episode. It's going to be a good one. And I feel like we're getting into the groove of doing these podcasts.
Yeah, I feel like
you didn't even have to practice your intro. That was great.
No, I did it. I did it in one go, friends. This is Jess McKay Live, and Ryan didn't have to edit this. But, you know, this has been so much fun for me. I feel like this is what happened to us when we started our dog's Instagram account. We started and turned it into a blog, and then we got tired of writing everything down. So then we just went straight to the podcast, and we did that once a week for an entire year. And this podcast has also kind of come out of my blogs that I started when I started my email newsletter list. However, I don't know if we're going to run a full year once a week. So if you have any opinions on this, if you would like to hear a podcast every week, please let us know. But we're kind of thinking we might do something more like seasons. So we might wrap this up in a couple more episodes and then come back for winter or the holiday season, especially because we talk so much about Lululemon here. We can definitely talk about the holiday season. And I know everyone has lots of shopping to-do lists for the holiday season. So I'm thinking potentially this might wrap up and then we'll take a little break and then we'll come back for the holidays. But let me know what you think in the comments. And also, of course, follow me on TikTok at JKMcKay. You can also follow me on Instagram, same handle. Today, my photo was shared by Lululemon's
that was very
official exciting Instagram account. So if you want to check that out as well.
The photographer was very talented.
The photographer was Ryan. But it's an example of one of those moments where you're in the moment, you're doing something, and you see something, and you go, hey, can everyone stop for a second? I just want to take a photo of this. I want to remember it. I think this would be really cute. And then you move on with your day. And it's not like you chose to do a photo shoot. It's not that you chose to pick that one spot to go to and do it just for social media content. It was honestly, Ryan and I were walking around with Ryan's parents. They were visiting for the first time. And I just saw it and I was like, you know what? I want a cute picture. And that's the one that Lululemon chose to post. So I think that's just so fun. And it was a very candid moment. Even if I was doing a cutesy pose, that's just me. But it's International Dog Day today. And we have not done an episode about our dogs yet.
No, like you said, we did a whole podcast about them. So
it's the furthest thing to think about for us. But I also think we should talk about the topic, even though it's not today's topic. I think we could do a full episode about why we became dog parents, about why we became dog parents to Italian Greyhounds and 2 Italian Greyhounds. And I think there's a lot of questions people have about adoption or going to a breeder and how to find a breeder and not a puppy scam, because that's a whole topic we could definitely talk about. If you are really interested in Italian Greyhounds, our podcast, The Iggy Parents, is available still. You can listen to it, and there's so much information there. So if you are definitely wanting to dive into the dog topics, you can definitely head to The Iggy Parents. And one of our dogs is weighing in on the situation right now. Phoebe, do you have something to say with the crowd? Anyways, happy International Dog Day, whether you're a dog lover or a dog parent. You know, it's a great day to celebrate dogs.
Yeah, we're big fans of dogs around here and get excited every time we see one on the street.
Oh my gosh, yes. I love every breed of dog. More updates in our life. Well, this week at Lululemon, we had the Tuesday drop. And we did not see the Everwear Belt Bag large drop.
But
I went into store and I found the Everwear Belt Bag large. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a new item that has only been spotted in stores. It has not been released online yet, but since it has been spotted in stores, I can confirm it's definitely happening. It's here. And it is the Everwear Belt Bag, but instead of a 1 liter capacity or volume, it's 2 liters. So it's basically the exact same thing, but the biggest differences are that the belt bag has a bigger part where the bag transitions into the belt. So instead of it just being the strap of the bag, it actually has like a little sort of triangular thing, which is to help support it. I can see the practicality of it. Makes sense. I think it's on the Clean Lines belt bag as well.
Yeah.
The other big difference for me is that there's 2 zippers. It's got like a double.
Oh, like
zipper.
you could zip it from either side? Cool.
Kind of like a backpack. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I think it's really cool. I'm really enjoying it so far. I've been testing it out, and I hope that drops online. So that wasn't my Lululemon Spotlight, but that is an update. Also, the Lululemon Spotlight that we have been doing here on this podcast has now turned into a TikTok series because I thought about it and I realized that, one item an episode isn't really getting it across how many items there are available at Lululemon and how confusing they can be. I absolutely understand if it's someone's first time shopping at Lululemon, it can be extremely confusing. So I'm going to attempt on TikTok to review every single item on the website while it's still up on the website. Ryan is helping me out once a week, or, more if we can twist his arm, to do spotlights of men's products as well. And this will be my little plug. If you're shopping at Lululemon, this is not a sponsored podcast, but if you are shopping at Lululemon, you can support me here by shopping with my link. It's so easy. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You can find it in my TikTok bio. You can find it in the link in the description of this YouTube video. And it just helps to support me here with no extra cost to you. So I really appreciate when you use my link. I see you using it. I know that you're using it. Thank you so, so, so much. And that's just my little plug. But
today's Lululemon Spotlight?
Today's Lululemon Spotlight. Let's do it. Today's Lululemon Spotlight was a request from TikTok, and it is the Groove Pant. The Groove Pant was an older item from Lululemon. I would like to say it's the first pant. I believe that before leggings were super popular, I think that this was kind of the first Lululemon yoga pant. And if you're someone who has shopped at Lululemon from years ago, you'll definitely know the look of this pant. However, this is a new version of it that has been in stores for the last few years, and it's been tweaked. So the original Groove Pant was, I believe, only mid-rise. It was not high-rise. And it had the flared bottom leg, so that is the same. But the original Groove Pant was made with Luon fabric, which is the thicker, more cottony feeling fabric, whereas the newer version of the Groove Pant, which is the one you've seen in stores for the last few years, is made with Nulu fabric. So Nulu fabric is the Lululemon fabric blend that is very soft to the touch, buttery soft, and you'll know it from the Align pant, from the Align tank, and anything that's sort of in the Align collection. But now the Groove Pant also has Nulu fabric. And to be honest, it's not everyone's favorite. So I understand why maybe fans of the older Groove Pant are not as excited for this newer version of the Groove Pant.
It was Luon, is that right?
It was Luon, yes.
Yeah.
And now it's Nulu fabric.
And so it is a super high rise. So
right.
It's got like the extra inch of fabric.
Right. So super high rise versus high rise. But the original one was just mid-rise, I believe, unless it was low-rise, because there were a lot of low-rise items at Lululemon at the time.
And it is quite long, so it's 32.5 inch inseam.
And that's done on purpose because Lululemon has complementary hemming. So they make them as long as possible, basically, so that you can get them hemmed at the store to fit your height and your leg length, because not everyone has the same leg length as well. Even if you're the same height as the models on the website, it's no guarantee. Everyone's got a different sort of proportion of torso to leg length. So it's in an effort to customize it, but I totally understand that if you are of a certain height, you can't always get them hemmed, because if you hem it too much, then it gets a little short. So I totally understand if this is not your thing. Also, if you do get the complimentary hemming, there is no returning on those items. So the second that it gets altered, the return policy, it's done. You've purchased it, final sale. Just a heads up.
And it does have a drop-in waistband pocket to hold a card, key, or cell phone.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And there is a crop version as well.
So that's the Groove Pant. It's the new updated version. And I would wear it for yoga, but it's a very comfortable pant. So if you want to wear it around the house as well, I think that's a great, on the move and comfort use of it. And at the moment, it's available in lots of different colors. I feel like in the old days, the Groove Pant was usually black and had the features or the colors on the waistband. And sometimes they were even reversible. So you could have the color on the waistband on one side, and then you wear it inside out, and it's just plain. So I've definitely had different versions of the Groove Pant over the years. There also used to be something called the Skinny Groove, which is basically the Groove Pant, but instead of the flare at the bottom, it came in tapered in like a legging. But it was still made with that Luan fabric, so it was a thicker feeling, cottony feeling fabric, and a little bit on the hotter side of things. So it didn't feel like a legging. It was still that Groove Pant, even though it was the skinny groove. I forgot to say it runs from sizes 0 through 20, which is amazing. I love to see when the full size run is available for any of the items at Lululemon. Again, if anyone who controls those decisions, it just makes me so happy to know that the full size run is available in certain items. I would love it if every item had all of the sizes. And maybe there will be more sizes in the future.
Right. And like above 20, but also below 0?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like some stores have like double zero?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know how many people are requesting that from Lululemon, but
yeah, I'm not sure. But
just think about items
definitely something to think about, of course.
Just think about items that don't have a draw cord, like if it really doesn't fit you.
Right. Exactly. What are you going to do? More updates. I forgot to add this. I feel like more personal updates. I did something the other day, and Ryan joined me on it. We signed up for Be Real. So thank you to everyone who is from TikTok or Instagram who has added me to Be Real. Do I know what I'm doing? No. Is it fun? Absolutely. So if you're on there and you are one of my subscribers here or followers, please find me on there. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fun. And you'll probably see pictures of me running around the house trying to grab the dog frantically to take a picture with me, as I did last night. Pose! Here we go. We got 2 minutes. Let's go. So the topic for today's episode, I don't think we even listed it. The topic for today is a day in the life. And maybe you're saying, Jess, what the heck does that mean? A day in the life is the daily vlog that you do on TikTok. Or, you've done a few vlogs on YouTube. So what do you mean by a day in the life? Well, I've had a lot of questions from our giveaway that we had the Google form. I've had a lot of questions from you about what does my day look like? And I do a day in the life as a daily vlog on TikTok, and I have been doing that for a while. And I have done a few here on YouTube, but to be honest, it's harder for me to create YouTube content in the day in the life style, in a vlog style. I have a hard time bringing around my camera. Honestly, just logistically, it's kind of hard to bring more equipment with me. I mean, maybe with my new Everwear Belt Bag large, I could, but I feel like I have a much better time being able to film vertically. Also, it's a phone storage issue. I'm really full on storage because I've been doing these daily vlogs. I have tons of videos vertical, but I have tons of videos and they are taking up a lot of space on my phone. But, it's all part of the game. So that's just logistically why I prefer to do the vertical TikTok days in the life. But then also, I want to talk about my day in the life and how it's changed over the years from not just how I've presented it to you in sort of a package deal in this daily vlog style, but also just what do I do with my life and how has it changed and how does my daily routine change? So briefly, we're going to talk about what my daily life looks like in this vlog style. I started doing my daily TikTok vlogs in Toronto when I was primarily focusing on being a fitness instructor. So if you don't know this about me, I'm a musical theater actor who was doing fitness part-time, pandemic hit, and what was I going to do? So I was still doing fitness and I started with content creation. At that time, I started doing a few daily vlogs on TikTok saying a day in the life of a Toronto fitness instructor, because that's how I identified myself. And it's kind of hard to put a label on yourself like that. So I just wanted to briefly talk about this because I struggled with that. I called myself a Toronto fitness instructor because I was. But what happens if I don't live in Toronto anymore? What happens if I'm not a fitness instructor anymore? Who says that your job title has to outline the title of your vlog? So I enjoyed it at that time. I didn't do it every day. But then we got the news we were moving to New York City. I realized, you know what? I want to remember this point in my life. I want to document this transition that we're making to move to New York City because we've been working on it for years. We applied in 2019 and we didn't move until 2022 when I finally got my green card. So it was a long period of time and I thought I'm going to lead up to moving to New York and I'm going to vlog it.
And that was an exciting period of time where things were happening every day.
And things had to change. We had to extend the deadline. So I said, a Canadian moving to New York in 10 days. Well, that turned into like 20 days because certain paperwork didn't get done fast enough and we had to delay. So that was the time where, I was leaving my job as a Toronto fitness instructor and I was moving to New York with a big question mark. Do I still call myself a fitness instructor if I'm not currently employed as one? Well, yes, I could. But to me, I felt a lot of pressure by doing that. And I don't know why, but it just felt like the wrong thing to do. So I thought to myself, I'm really enjoying this vlogging thing and I kind of want to keep it going. So I did it and I decided to label it as a day in the life of a Canadian living in New York City. How many times have you heard me say that? I've said it every day since we moved and it's August 2022. So we've been here for a while now.
That's coming up on, it's 7 months today.
Oh my God, it's 7 months. Happy 7-month anniversary, New York City. Woo! We're here. The McKay Robinson Hattons. But, it's one of those things that who are you if you're not labeled by, I don't know, your job or just your name? I do see a lot of days in the life. A day in the life of Jess. Like it could just be my name. It could just be, here's a day in my life. Could be, here's a Wednesday afternoon. Not everybody, there's no formula. This is all just people, wanting to share their life in a certain angle.
And I feel like that was a thought that we had actually naming this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because it felt, we didn't want to specifically say that it's a Lululemon podcast because it's not sponsored by Lululemon or anything.
Nope.
And it's not official. But then who are you? You're Jess, which means so many things to so many different people. So I think it makes sense for it to just be Jess McKay Live.
Right. And who knows? Maybe my daily vlogs that I've been doing now for 7 months, maybe they're going to turn into a day in the life of Jess, a day in the life of JK McKay. Because who knows? I am still a Canadian living in New York City, but maybe I'm going to identify and find myself gravitating towards a different angle of my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to have this conversation. I said brief, but nothing with me is ever brief. You should know this. But I just wanted to talk about that because I do care a lot about the content that I put out into the world. And I think that maybe some people would think, oh, you're overthinking it, or, people don't really care, or who cares about your day in the life? Well, I understand the feeling of not knowing if people care about what you're putting out there. I totally understand that fear. I totally understand that hesitation with even doing a day in the life, a vlog, anything like that. But for me personally, I feel like this is, again, going back to that conversation about confidence, that by doing a vlog every day, it has given me this sense of comfort, and it's like a ritual, a habit that I'm doing every day. And it's making these moments count. Like there's so many times that I record something that I might just forget about, and maybe it didn't matter that much. But it's kind of a practice where every day, if something is reminding me, making me happy, or it's reminding me of how far I've come, if it's reminding me like, hey, this walk to the Bar 3 studio today, I saw something different. Maybe I'm going to record it. Maybe I take a different camera angle. Maybe I, do something silly. And it's something to look back on in the future if I ever, want to look at this snapshot of my life. And it's a practice in confidence. I'm practicing putting myself out there. And I know that these vlogs are very personal to me. And, it's just a glimpse into my life. If you're not interested in it, scroll by. But if you are, it's basically like a diary. And I just, enjoy practicing putting myself out there like that.
So you actually got a question about what your days are like, specifically when it comes to Bar 3. So how does Bar 3 factor into your day in the life?
Right. So initially in Toronto, I had said a day in the life of a Toronto fitness instructor. So those kinds of vlogs I did from the angle of, oh, I'm going to the studio today. I'm doing something specifically for Bar 3. But I love Bar 3. I work for Bar 3. Who knows in the future if I'm always going to be working at Bar 3, if I'm going to work somewhere else. I've worked at a number of different studios teaching fitness. So for me personally, having Bar 3 here in New York is so amazing. I'm getting to meet lots of new people in this community. And for me, if my day in the life includes Bar 3, it just feels like a Bar 3 focused day. But it might not be in every video, even if I am thinking about Bar 3 off the clock. So a lot of the time, if you're taking a Bar 3 class, maybe that is something that's in your daily routine, or maybe you take days off and it's not something you think about every day. But for me, it is my job to go as an instructor. But then sometimes I might be taking someone else's class. I might be taking an online live stream class. And even if my whole day in the life isn't angled around that, it's still a part of me. I'm still doing it every day, and it's sort of a ritual and a habit for myself. So Bar 3, what you see in my day in the life, that is usually when I'm going to work, and that's a part of my day. But just because it's not on every day doesn't mean I might not be thinking about Bar 3. Like I said, off the clock.
The other question someone had was, what are your weekly activities? So what are things that you look forward to weekly? Because our days are generally totally varied, but there are some things like standing appointments that you kind of have.
Yeah. So I have my schedule at Bar 3. And of course, that will change if I'm covering for someone, if I'm swapping classes. I really like the freedom that I have with Bar 3, that I can have my regular scheduled classes, but being able to cover or swap with people does give me sort of freedom of schedule. So next week, we're actually going to Canada, and we've got some work to do there that is not Bar 3, but we've got some dog influencing work to do. So that's very exciting. And so we also have some meetings for Doggy Bathroom. That's the company that Ryan and I work for them, running their TikTok account. So we do have sort of bi-weekly scheduled calls with that. And of course, Lululemon influencing. This is all of my own free will. No one is telling me to do this kind of content. But I woke up one day and said, hey, let's do this. Tuesdays are usually when Lululemon drops items, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we go live on TikTok. And Thursdays, 7 a.m. is usually when items drop to the markdown section at Lululemon, which is We Made Too Much Thursday. So we go live on TikTok, Ryan and I together, as long as Ryan's around, Tuesdays, 2 p.m. and Thursdays, 7 a.m. And honestly, that's a huge highlight of my week. So I really love to see people there. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you have not been on my TikTok yet, I would definitely invite you to come. Please come on Tuesdays or Thursdays if you're free, because we just have a huge chat of so many people who love Lululemon. Doesn't matter if you're shopping or not that day. It's just kind of fun. People like to talk about what they like about Lululemon and maybe if there's a new item and what's in the news for Lululemon. So those are definitely things in our lives that have become habitual, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And again, like we have meetings, we do those. And I don't know if there's anything else on a weekly schedule, Ryan, that we really have that doesn't change.
Other than TV?
Oh my God, yes. I love TV. So this is something that's happened as well in the last few years. I think with everyone being in lockdowns, being indoors and not going out and doing things regularly, I have really gotten into reality TV. So I have never really watched TV shows that are on a regular schedule before, but now things like Big Brother, I'm watching them and I'm starting to watch the live feeds. I've never done that before. And it's so fun to me because it's live and people are like actually going through this right now as we speak. So like I said, like after we were all kind of locked away indoors, I got into reality TV and now that is also something I work into my schedule because I love it.
Okay, so now tell us what your life was like before you were recording your day in the life. So like what would a day look like for Jess in like 2014, 2015 in New York City?
Oh my God. Okay, so this is the second half of this discussion. So before we're talking about day in the life that I actually recorded. Now we're talking about just my day in the life. What's my routine? And we're looking back at 2014, 2015. So 2014, 2015, Jess was freshly graduated from a musical theater program in Boston, and she moved to New York City. So I was living in New York City, and I had a very different life to what I'm living right now. I would wake up typically at 4 a.m. and head downtown to the audition studios where you would write your name on an unofficial list, which is sometimes meaning people would put a paper on the door of this audition studio and they would start writing. Let's say hairspray, non-equity call, casting call. Number 1, they'd write their name. Number 2, they'd write their name. And so if you got there at like 4:30, you might be like 20 on the list, but sometimes you could get there at, this is again before the building opens, you'd get there at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and you would be like 200 on the list. Like people would just write like crazy. Like so many people would get there. People would sign their friends up and people didn't like when you did that. This was something that would happen all the time. I would audition once, twice, 3 times a day if it was available. And honestly, there were so many open casting calls, just anyone can show up. So the biggest part is waking up early, signing your name up, going home, showering, getting ready, coming back for when the call is supposed to start. So that was a crazy lifestyle. I would wake up at 4 a.m., audition, get there for 8, and then maybe the auditions would run until, I mean, some auditions took all day. You might be there sitting in a waiting room, you know, curling your hair by the mirror, warming up in the hallways, whether that was a vocal warm up or a dance warm up. You might be there until 4 o'clock. You might not even be seen until after 4 o'clock. And they usually would end at like 5 or 6, just a typical work day. But they might even not see you. They might say, we've accepted these resumes, we've looked, and we're only accepting people with local housing. Or they would say, we're typing you out. You don't fit the type. We need taller people, shorter people, whatever they need. Cut. Sometimes they just line you up in a row and they go, you're staying, you're going, you're staying, like that TikTok audio. Not even looking at your resume, just literally from what you look like. And those were the kinds of days where maybe you signed up and you got there at 8, knowing that you woke up at 4 a.m. for this audition. And by 9 o'clock, you're out and you're going to go get some Starbucks and then go home. So the days were so sporadic for me. Some days you would get kept, you would sing for like 32 bars, 16 bars. Sometimes if it was brutal, they would even cut you down to 8 bars, which is like 10 seconds. Like it's very, very short. So on those kinds of days, sometimes you'd get kept, you'd have a dance audition later, and then you would have a callback potentially. And It was just crazy. So my days sometimes would be a whole full day and you still don't get the job, or you wait only half an hour and you get cut and then you run to another audition. You head over to the other audition that you signed up for also at 4 a.m. and, the cycle continues.
And when we applied for your green card in 2019, that is what we thought life was going to be like when we moved.
That's what I thought. I did not think I'd be here talking to you right now on this podcast. I did not think I would be talking about Lululemon. I did not think that I would be on TikTok. TikTok didn't exist, of course, in 2014. But I don't know, life was very different for me back then. Sometimes you'd do an audition, it wouldn't go well, and it was, 5 p.m. and you'd be going for margaritas and quesadillas. And that's how your day would end. So you might ask, how on earth did I earn any money doing that? So auditioning does not pay you. Of course, it's like a job interview. But I worked in New York City when I lived here. I worked teaching after school programs. So on those days that, you'd be kept until 4, if I had to work that day, sometimes I had to leave before my name was even called, because I taught after school programs. I taught tap dance to children. And, that was an experience. Sometimes I would cover for other teachers and just kind of float around. And yeah, so I did that for work as well. And then, when you were lucky enough to get the job, then you would be on a contract. So depending on where this contract was, might depend on housing, might depend on pay, but I did work outside of New York, and then you would come back, and then I could continue the teaching job. And basically, being an actor is a wild ride, and you're not always guaranteed that every gig you get is going to be the same pay, unless you are in the union, Actors Equity. However, Actors Equity, it doesn't mean everyone gets paid the same. There's a range. There are ranges of amounts of payment that you get. But at the end of the day, when you're a musical theater actor, unless you're in an ongoing Broadway show and your contract is open-ended, which is, I don't think that happens. I don't know. But unless you've been in Chicago for the last 20 years, you are constantly looking for new work. And that is the life of an actor. And that was my life in 2014, 2015. I hadn't found fitness yet. I hadn't found fitness instruction as a job. And honestly, I feel like I needed it. I did a lot of fitness myself. I would go home, shower, maybe do a workout, and I loved fitness, but I hadn't yet broken into sort of the fitness community. And I think at that time I was maybe a little lonely. I didn't have Ryan. So, dark days. But I think that if I had found fitness earlier, it might have changed. I might have been healthier in my body and in my soul if I had done that earlier.
So what was life like after you came back from New York? What was your life like when we met in 2017?
Okay, flash forward, 2017. A day in my life was, oh my gosh, it's hard to pinpoint it, but I did a number of part-time jobs like every actor does. I had a stint where I worked at Starbucks. That was also a dark time because I told the people at Starbucks, hey, I can only work from 5 a.m. till 10 a.m. every day. So they said, great, that's your shift. Well, I did that. It was awful. Again, waking up at 4 a.m.
You were also in a show.
Well, I was used to waking up at 4 a.m. from doing the whole New York thing.
Oh, yeah.
So okay. I said to them, yeah, I'm fine waking up at 4 and getting there for 4:20 and opening the store for you. But it's because, like Ryan said, I was doing a lot of actual performing. So when I moved to Toronto, I started working at a theater that is the theater where Ryan and I ended up meeting. But I worked at this theater and it was, not your highest paid job. And you had to work part-time work to be able to perform and sustain that because it was not, like we said, if you're part of the Actors Union, then there's minimums that you get paid. But with a non-equity theater, there's no guarantee that you're getting paid at all. So with this particular theater, you definitely needed a part-time job. Some people could probably have had full-time jobs. However, the demanding schedule was not easy to work around. So I had a part-time job. Starbucks was one of them. Lululemon was one of them, and eventually being a fitness instructor. So I floated around doing a bunch of those different jobs. I loved Lululemon, but I did not work that full time. I did part-time while being in productions or auditioning for new shows. And then by the time I met Ryan, I was a Bar 3 instructor. I had not yet done my yoga training, so it was really just Bar 3 focused. So when I was in Toronto, I was doing a lot of performing. I did lots of musical theater shows, and that is where I met Ryan. And I don't know, Ryan, what would you say your day in the life at that time was like?
I was actually driving for Uber Eats.
Oh, yes.
So I was doing the few auditions that there were in Toronto.
Right. It was not like New York.
Or performing in the show that I was in and rehearsing for the next show that was coming up. That was usually the schedule. And then in between things, I thought like driving for food delivery was a great option, which it was. It was a good option. But then actually there was a miscommunication that they thought I was doing rideshare and not food delivery, and they don't cover food delivery.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I had to
remember
stop
that now.
that. Yeah,
Oh my
I forget
gosh.
what I did for that summer. That was the summer where we actually got Adelaide. So we picked up Adelaide in a rented car because I thought, I don't need my car for now. We're moving to New York City soon. This is 2019. So I'm going to see what it's like not having a car. So we actually ended up renting a car a bunch of times because of going up to see Adelaide when she was a puppy, and then actually having the rental car to pick her up. And then after that summer of not having a car, I got myself a car, a different one, and did more actual rideshare with people.
Right. Yes. Again, before, 2020. And something else that you did as well, Ryan, was freelance photography.
Yes. Jess and I kind of did headshot work together. She was my assistant on that.
Or even production photography. When friends had productions,
Yes.
we would help, work together on that too.
Yep. And did
Me just being an assistant. I'm not the photographer.
did some events as well.
Oh, yeah. That's fun.
So
Forgot about those.
Yeah, I know. You're reminding me of these things we used to do.
What was our life like before this? So the biggest thing is that before our life right now, our life was very different, but it wasn't that different.
Right. We were still working for ourselves.
I know. I think that a lot of people who get into content creation, again, even on a grander scale than you or I, get into content creation, and a lot of the storyline is, I quit my corporate job, or I still work my corporate job, but I became such a huge influencer or a huge content creator that this is now my job. So for me, I totally understand how stressful that feels if you're in that sort of timeline. If you're working a corporate job and you're trying to make this content creation thing a job, I can understand how stressful that is because, you see all these people doing it in such a grand way, and they've got millions of followers and they make millions of dollars. And you think to yourself, well, how did I grow a following? What did people follow me for? Was it about my career? Because if you quit your career, then what is your content about? Like, I feel like that is a huge thing. We were listening to a podcast that was talking about a doctor who was on TikTok, and that he quit his practice so that he could continue to do content. And you might ask yourself, well, isn't that bad because he's not being a doctor and helping people? But with his content, it is surrounding what he does as his career. So maybe you're reaching more people, and maybe that's just more satisfying for him. More fulfilling.
Might actually help more people in the long run.
Right, exactly. It might be the thing that, saves someone's life, and maybe that person never would have walked into that doctor's clinic, for example. But for me and Ryan, we were always working freelance. So this is not really that different. However, I feel like we have more of a schedule now than we even had as actors, because my day-to-day would be booked around my second job. So whether I was at Lululemon as an educator or whether I was a Starbucks employee, I was not a barista. Who are we kidding? I was not great at making the drinks, and I didn't put in the time to learn. I was always the 5 a.m. cheery person at the cash. So, but it was jobs like that for me that would dictate my schedule. And then everything on the side was me pursuing acting, or me being in a show, or rehearsing for a show. So we kind of were in that cycle. Now, we have more of a schedule. Like I said, we do the Lululemon content that kind of has a schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we also have created things for ourselves like this podcast. We have also sort of new deadlines that we have to meet when it comes to creating content. If we are doing sort of freelance work for other companies, we have to meet those deadlines as well. We've got meetings, and I still teach at Bar 3. So I guess a typical day in the life, if you want to know nowadays, I would say that my day in the life always circles around whatever's on the schedule. So if you know me, Tuesdays are my busiest days. If we have marketing meetings in the morning for Doggy Bathroom, and then we have me teaching at Bar 3 in person, then we have Tuesdays, new releases at Lululemon, I go live. And then Tuesday nights, we usually just take the night off to relax. But in the past, we have done filming for YouTube on Tuesdays. Ryan would put up the new releases on YouTube. And I'm not saying we're never doing that again, but that was definitely a period of time. We did that for a while. Sometimes it would be Tuesdays recording more evergreen content for YouTube. Again, Ryan would edit it until late at night, and then that would be a full day. Now that we live in New York City, I do love to take advantage of that. So we love to go to Broadway shows, even if we're not performing right now. We love to go to see Broadway shows. So that is also something that's kind of typical for us, I would say, on a daily routine. And other days are just always based around if I'm teaching, if we have a meeting, if we are, enjoying the city. It is organized. It's also not organized and totally freelance and totally all over the place. So on a day when we're not doing a live stream for TikTok or we're not doing specific filming for a deadline, we're just creating content around the house, creating content around New York. And I might be, again, something behind the scenes you might not always see is I'm prepping for classes at Bar 3. I'm preparing playlists, which I'll also say that I have my playlists public on Spotify. We played one of them the other day and someone asked if my Spotify is public. So you can absolutely follow me on Spotify. And a lot of them will be Bar 3 playlists. But I also had some that were my own curated playlists for Yoga Pilates with Jess when I had a series on Instagram. Back in 2020, I had a series of live yoga classes with my own personal playlists that were curated for a theme, like a Broadway theme. I think I had a water playlist where the songs were themed after water. So again, if you want to find my Spotify, we can probably link that here and you can follow me there too. But we just, continue with this business that we've started. We're now an official business, which is really exciting. So also behind the scenes stuff that you probably wouldn't see us doing, or maybe I don't always post it on the day in the life. We're working on things for our business behind the scenes. So, that's it. There's a lot of answering emails and that sounds super lame and boring, but I will say, and this is something I have not really talked about, I get a lot of offers, and this is not a brag. I get a lot of offers for collaborations from companies, and I feel frustrated because a lot of them are products or services or companies that don't align with my values. And because I'm in the sort of fitness wellness space, I feel like I get approached by a lot of companies, especially because we are on TikTok. So a lot of companies do not understand TikTok. They want someone to represent their brand, or they want someone to create like one-off UGC content, user-generated content. And for me, I love that if it's a brand that I know and love and I want to promote. But when it's things that circle around weight loss, when they circle around sort of these workouts that are meant to get your body shredded, when they are just not in line with what I stand for, it just gets really disheartening because it's like dangling a carrot, like, hey, do you want this cool job? Do you want this cool thing? Can you promote this for us? And then I feel like I'm selling my soul. To get these kinds of emails and offers, it might feel like the amazing things are going so well. People want to work with you, Jess. But then when you open them and it's like, hey, here's this money for promoting our product that is completely opposite from everything you stand for, it just is a little disheartening. So I'm not saying I'm getting those emails that I'm getting them every day and thinking like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, that's not what it is. For me and for our business, I would love to work on, I don't know, sending out the energy that we want to work for companies that, again, like align with our values, and that I don't get labeled as this like fitness guru or get labeled as like a weight loss person. And, you know, I don't know how else to do that other than to keep being myself and keep putting my content out there that is, you know, true to me. And we talk so much about, you know, body inclusive fitness and all of those things. So if you were to see me show up on your app representing a brand that was trying to get your body shredded, it just wouldn't make any sense. And I would just not feel great about that. So, you know, in the future, if you ever do see me repping other brands, it's because I really care about it and I respect it. I don't think I'd be able to do it for long if it were not true to me. So we're putting out the energy right now. Manifestation. Let's make it happen. If any brands want to work with us that, you know, really get us, then I'm all for it.
So the last thing on the outline you had was, what might an ideal day in the life, like how might your life in the future be different?
Right. So I get lots of questions like this of, what do you want in the next 5 years, next 10 years? And I've said before, like I would love to work in social media for brands as well. Like we're doing right now freelance and we're our own bosses. But really, I think of the brands for us as clients. So we are trying to create content on behalf of brands, whether we're behind the scenes, whether it's just the filming, whether it's us actually going in a 9-to-5 job, working for a corporate company. I feel like that is something that we definitely could step into. I think at the moment, I love being freelance and just doing our own thing. But if I was looking into the future, a day in the life, I would say I'd love to have more clients. I'd love to have more opportunities to continue to do social media marketing, but to have it be more structured. And yes, I still love fitness and I want to keep doing that. But maybe our lives would look a little different in the future if we continue to work for other brands as well. What do you think, Ryan? What's your day in the life? What's your ideal day in the life? Wake up, drink coffee, make some content, walk your dogs, make some content, come home, have lunch. I'm just describing our day right now.
I know, yeah. One thing for me is that I don't have any responsibilities outside of the house.
Yes.
So like we have this schedule, but the only thing that is not at home is you going to bar 3.
Absolutely.
So I have done some fitness classes here. It doesn't really work for me. So I would love if I had something else to go to, or if I had like more space here. So I got myself a VR headset.
Yeah.
Which is great, except for when it is too hot.
Oh my God, yes. It's very hot in the apartment.
The AC
even with our AC,
not,
yeah.
not enough on the really hot days. And it's also hard when you are here and trying to do content and kind of back and forth, and I need space to be able to do it. So if we had an apartment that had a second bedroom where
that would be great.
You could go and just be filming in there, or that could be a VR space for me to be able to work out, because I do like that as an option. I feel not like a fraud, but I feel like I wish that I used the Lululemon clothing more for fitness than I do now.
Right. Of course. And we are currently working on a video that is about Lululemon for travel. And that's one of those things where you don't think about it, but Lululemon can be used for so much more than just workouts. So I think that for you, hashtag the sweat life, you're not taking classes right now. Brian's just not a fan of group fitness, and he loves certain things, and he has gone to kickboxing classes and really enjoyed that. But at the moment, it's not really, lighting up your soul. So I understand, like, group fitness is not necessarily an easy thing to do. I think socially, it can be a really great community building kind of thing. But if that's not your vibe, it can also be super alienating to walk into a fitness class and be terrified and feel like you're not belonging in that culture. And for me personally, I always try and promote, inclusion and having people feel comfortable in the space. But sometimes if that's just not your vibe and you walk in and you realize like, hey, this isn't doing it for me, then where are you going to wear your Lululemon clothes? And that's okay. Like if it's to walk your dog and it's to go travel and it's to play VR, I mean, I think that's great. But I understand where we spend so much time thinking about Lululemon and, oh, this is for running. This is for, kickboxing. This is for yoga. And if you're not signing up for those group fitness classes, that you feel like you're not authentically using the clothing. That's an interesting concept. But I don't think you're wrong to use the clothing not for those traditional activities.
Yeah, it's like the uniform of our work right now.
Right, exactly.
Kind of. So, yeah. I was just thinking about something else that I have thought about.
For an ideal day in your life?
Is getting involved in sports again. So like you have never known me to be a sports person, but growing up and in university, I did play a lot of soccer and volleyball. And I played baseball when I was younger. I was on the track and field team. So like I have done a lot of sports, but in farther into my life, I have done less of that, mostly because of dance. So like doing dance for musical theater felt like enough exercise, but then in the last 2 years, I haven't been doing that. So
right. I know it's tough. It's a tough thing. And when you think of your day in the life right now for work, like you said, we don't necessarily always have a schedule. But if I'm thinking about into the future, and like I said, if we do work for other companies or have other clients, we might have more of a rigorous schedule that, your moments for recreational sports might have to slot in at one time and it won't be so open. We might, have to stick to more strict of a schedule. Something we did forget in our current day in the life, that how could I forget? Ryan does a lot of the sort of administrative things. He deals with the email newsletter. He deals with the text broadcast at the moment. I will, of course, be dictating to him if it's a personal question, but if it's something like a restock notification, then Ryan's behind that and we work together on it, but he is the one who's kind of clicking go on those messages. And he helps me to be able to answer your questions as well. So I feel like a lot of your work, again, is behind the scenes. You're editing my YouTube videos. You are editing, this is so meta, but you're editing this in the future. Future Ryan is editing this moment right here, right now. And, capturing video as well. I can't capture everything myself. So a lot of that kind of work, even if Ryan is not the Lululemon influencer himself, a lot of our personal stuff for the JK McKay brand, that is, a lot to do with Ryan as well. So Ryan's just looking for opportunities to get out of the house because at the moment we work from home and he wants to use the clothes more. But I don't know what you would leave in an ideal day. What else are you doing if you're not working alongside me for this?
Yeah, like you said, we used to do photo shoots as well. Another thing that sort of fits into the freelance lifestyle.
Yeah. We're just not 9 to 5 people. I don't know. I feel like we want to be. I want that structure, but I just love being so freelance.
Right. We have hesitation to adding something blocked out on the calendar all the time.
Right. Exactly. It's scary. And that's the thing. Like if you want to take a trip, if you want to, depending on your job, you might only get 2 weeks a year. You might get 1 week a year. You might get no time in a year and you have to be there at a certain schedule. So definitely something to consider. I don't know if this is maybe the moment, Ryan, where you share with everyone what you're doing on TikTok other than my account.
Right. Yeah. You were saying about posting, like that you're posting all the time. And I have posted most days in the last few months for my personal TikTok account. At Ryan_NYC, where I post about electric cars. I was thinking I was going to do more tech stuff than I have, but I've really been enjoying talking about electric cars, and I feel like there's not enough people talking about that specifically. And I feel like there are so many car journalists that are just talking about cars in relation to regular cars, like gas cars.
Right, yeah.
And so they're talking about like what the differences are as opposed to thinking of them as a thing by themselves.
Yeah.
So if you came from talking about another company, you'd always be comparing to what that other company was like. But for you, I feel like you have a great perspective being a Lululemon fan for so long.
Yes.
And then talking about Lululemon for what it is, as opposed to comparing it to other things. And I feel like I want to bring that perspective to electric cars as well.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love that you have found a community on your TikTok as well of people who love car news, electric car news, and just technology and like how electric cars fit into technology in the world. Not necessarily that you're doing, Apple iPhone reviews, but I think how electric cars fit into innovation. I feel like that's like kind of where your niche is right now. And it's so fun to see because, of course, Ryan loves Lululemon too, and he helps us out with everything that we do here.
And people say I should start a Lululemon account for myself.
I know. And I would love to see Ryan start a Lululemon account for himself, but that's too much work. He already does so much of the work for us here that for him to do his own account, I think it's just too many. We already run another TikTok account. We still have our dog's social media presence online, and we do sometimes work with brands when it comes to that as well. So, again, with that freelance life, we're all over the internet. We're slowly taking over the social media world. And I would like to see us, do more things in person because we're still coming out of this, pandemic time. And for Ryan, starting this new sort of electric vehicle passion of his, who says it's not going to turn into you doing in-person events too? And who says I'm not going to get to do it in-person events? I went to the Charge Wheel event, the launch of the new Charge Wheel shoe at Lululemon, but I would love. This is like, I know I keep talking about it, but I'm just I guess I'm too scared to like organize it and then have no one show up. I feel like that's the number one fear because it's so hard to get people to show up these days. Like it's hard. People get sick. And, when you get sick nowadays, you can't do anything. So I would love to have an in-person event hosted by me where I teach a class and people fly into New York City and we all shop at Lululemon and do stuff like that. Like that would be so fun to me. I guess I just don't know how to get that ball rolling. I see people on social media starting events and it's like, let's all do a meetup and go take a class together. And it happens and it's cool. But I guess like if I'm wanting to teach the class, like I just don't know how to, rent a space, have like liability waivers. Like how do you do that? I don't know. So if anyone has any event planning advice for me, please let me know as well, because I would love to do that. And for you, events would look different. You want to like go to a car event that already exists. I think that would be so cool for you.
Yeah, like reporting live from an event and talking about what's there.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bigger industry. Like you're saying, you went to the Lululemon event.
Right.
Which was great.
That exists,
and they organized that. I would go to a big event like that. I would love to.
Yeah, I feel like that would be so cool for you. And again, it's not that you're working 9 to 5 on your electric vehicle TikTok, but when something cool happens in the news, you're there and you're being a part of that community, and who knows what opportunities would come from that. So if anyone who runs an electric vehicle company needs Ryan and his expertise, he's here for you too. But it's just fun. It's nice to like do something on social media that doesn't have to be work. I think that kind of sums up how we feel about our day in the life right now, what it could be, what could the future of our day in the life be. I know as well, no one asked for this, but I would love to, in the future, another project. I know I said I want to do live events, but another project that Brian and I have talked about is potentially having an Airbnb. That is something like an investment property and, having this Airbnb that people could come to, and what would that entail? I feel like that is something like huge down the line that would be a really cool project. And Ryan has looked into it more than I have over the years, but it's one of those cool things that you can dream about, and that would be a very different day in the life. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you had a great... Thank you so much for watching. The battery just died and Phoebe is barking. It's International Dog Day, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thanks so much. We really appreciate your support and dreaming with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.